Beyond the gates, spoilers tease that Vanessa and Leslie are about to explode over the free clinic. Not a small disagreement, not a polite boardroom clash, but something raw and personal that has been building since the first brick of that building carried a name that still hurts to say out loud, McBride Doug. The clinic was supposed to be about healing strangers, about second chances for people with no insurance and nowhere to go, but it has turned into a battlefield, and right at the center of it stands Vanessa, grieving widow, determined woman, and Leslie, smiling partner with ambition dripping from every calculated gesture. The argument this time is not only about budgets or press releases, it is about control, about who owns the narrative, about whose guilt and whose ambition built the place in the first place. Ever since Joey fell in love with Vanessa, he has not been the same man. People whisper it in the corridors of his offices. They say he used to be colder, more strategic, less sentimental. Before Vanessa, he would have treated a free clinic like a tax write-off or a branding exercise. Now he treats it like a shrine. Naming the clinic after Vanessa's late husband was not a random decision. It was guilt. It was regret. It was that night he cannot erase from memory the accident, the choice, the delay, whatever part he played in the chain of events that ended with Doug gone. He sees the shadow in Vanessa's eyes whenever Doug's name surfaces, and he cannot bear it. So he gave her something he thought might ease the ache. The clinic bearing McBride Doug's name became his offering, a quiet apology disguised as philanthropy. He tells himself it is a gift, but deep down, he knows it is also a confession without words. Leslie, however, never cared about confession. She cared about opportunity. The idea of the clinic was not even hers to begin with. Samantha dreamed it first, mapped it out in notebooks, imagined a place where the forgotten could receive real care. Leslie saw that dream, lifted it, polished it, and then presented it to Joey as if it had grown in her own mind. She invited him to collaborate, flattered his influence, painted a picture of a legacy project that would elevate them both. On the surface, she talks about compassion, about access, about community outreach, and maybe a small part of her believes it. But Leslie is not innocent. She calculates every benefit. The free clinic is also a stage, and she intends to stand at the center of it, cameras flashing, donors applauding. The first clash between Vanessa and Leslie already happened when the naming of the clinic was announced. Leslie wanted something broader, something that could be franchised, something less personal and more marketable. Vanessa wanted Doug's name there, solid and permanent. Voices rose, accusations flew. Leslie questioned whether a business project should revolve around a dead man. Vanessa heard disrespect, heard erasure. It almost tore the partnership apart. Joey stepped in then, firm and decisive, and sided with Vanessa. The plaque on the building now reads, McBride Doug Free Clinic. Leslie smiled for the photographs, but her eyes hardened. She lost that round. And now, with new tensions rising, she remembers it. There are practical problems with the clinic, real ones. Staffing is incomplete. Funding streams are unstable. The paperwork is a maze. Patients are already lining up, expecting services that are not fully organized. Leslie sees these issues as challenges to spin into stories of resilience. Vanessa sees them as responsibilities that must be handled quietly and properly. And as Joey begins transferring more operational authority to Vanessa, the balance of power shifts. It is not only about the clinic anymore. Joey is handing Vanessa management roles in several of his businesses. Meetings she once attended as a guest, she now leads. Decisions once filtered through Leslie now go directly to Vanessa. It is subtle but unmistakable. Vanessa might soon be directly involved in overseeing the clinic's management as well, not just symbolically because of Doug's name, but administratively. That possibility makes Leslie uneasy. Leslie wants visibility, wants the clinic tied to her brand. She organizes events, drafts press releases that highlight her initiative, positions herself as the driving force behind the project. She talks about her vision for community impact, about partnerships, about expansion. But Vanessa does not want the clinic turned into a billboard. She wants it steady, respectful, focused on care. When she notices Leslie attaching her own image too aggressively to the clinic's publicity, she pushes back. The conversations grow shorter, sharper, politeness fades. One of the most pressing issues is choosing doctors to join a team. Qualified physicians are hesitant. Some fear the instability of a free clinic. Others question the leadership. Vanessa considers inviting Kial or Carlton, both respected in their fields, both capable of lending credibility and skill. She believes that bringing one of them in could stabilize the operation and ensure real quality care. Leslie resists. She argues that bringing in strong independent doctors might dilute the authority structure. She claims it is about budget concerns, about long-term planning, but beneath that argument lies fear. If Vanessa recruits Kial or Carlton successfully, her influence over the clinic strengthens. Leslie's control weakens. The debate over staffing becomes the spark that reignites everything. Vanessa insists on prioritizing competence over optics. Leslie counters that without strategic branding, the clinic will fail financially. They talk over each other in conference rooms and hallways, sometimes in front of stunned assistants. The tension is thick. Joey listens, watches, and every time he leans toward Vanessa, not because he is blind to Leslie's contributions, but because Vanessa's pain and determination have become inseparable from his own sense of redemption. When Vanessa speaks about the clinic, her voice carries memory. When Leslie speaks, her voice carries ambition. Joey cannot ignore the difference. All of Vanessa's problems become Joey's problems. He has chosen her, publicly and privately. She is the woman he stands beside, the woman whose happiness he measures his days by. So when she says she feels undermined by Leslie, he takes it seriously. When she says the partnership is no longer healthy, he does not dismiss it as emotional. He reviews contracts. He consults lawyers quietly. Vanessa wants to end the collaboration with Leslie. She believes the clinic cannot thrive under divided leadership. She believes Leslie's hidden motives will eventually taint everything. Joey considers the cost, financial and reputational, but in the end he asks himself a simpler question. What does Vanessa need? Leslie senses the shift before it is announced. Invitations to key meetings stop arriving. Decisions are made without her input. She confronts Joey, her tone controlled but her eyes blazing. She reminds him of her role in launching the clinic, of the risks she took, of the connections she leveraged. He acknowledges her effort but does not promise anything. For the first time, she sees clearly that she cannot compete with Vanessa in his priorities. It infuriates her. She has lost ground before, but never like this. Vanessa does not celebrate. She is not triumphant. She is tired. Every victory feels heavy because it is tied to Doug's memory and Joey's guilt. She sometimes wonders if the clinic is truly about healing others, or about stitching together the broken pieces of her own life. Yet, when she walks through the unfinished corridors and imagines patients being treated with dignity, she feels certain that she must protect it from manipulation. If that means pushing Leslie out, so be it. Leslie's anger simmers. She may not be able to overpower Joey directly, but she is not without weapons. She understands public perception. She understands leverage. If she decides to fight back, it will not be with open confrontation alone. It will be strategic, subtle, perhaps ruthless. After all, she once did something similar to Samantha, taking an idea and claiming it as her own. Now she tastes the same betrayal from the other side. It is a bitter symmetry. The coming clash between Vanessa and Leslie will not be a simple argument about a clinic. It will be about ownership of grief, about control of legacy, about love reshaping a man's loyalties. Joey has changed, undeniably. For Vanessa, he bends rules, shifts power structures, makes promises he once would have laughed at. The free clinic named McBride Doug stands as proof of that transformation. And as the doors prepare to open fully, the real drama unfolds behind them. Not in the exam rooms, but in the offices, where alliances fracture and ambitions collide. In the end, Leslie may rage, may scheme, may attempt to salvage her influence, but she cannot outmatch Joey's devotion to Vanessa. And perhaps this outcome, harsh as it feels, mirrors the choice Leslie once made when she stole Samantha's dream. Now the cycle turns back on her, and the gates she tried to control begin closing in ways she never expected.